The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewhouse.com. Hello everyone and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box. We are on location here at the Genesee Brew House this week. I'm Bill Pucko and we host the Vision High School Sports Beat. Begins its 6th season on September the 3rd and we're looking forward to that. Our pleasure to welcome in from the Chuck Hinkle Agency, Chuck Hinkle. Nice to have you in here, Chuck.
Nice to be here.
Mike Catalana from the Channel 13 News.
Good to be back. Yep.
And Pat Duffy.
Hi everybody.
Look, you know, the big thing going around town is obviously everyone's talking about Buffalo Bills. You know, Chuck, pretty much from the outside, although, you know, you work a lot on the inside of the NFL and all that, what are you looking forward to most coming out of this camp?
I think for them is the quarterback play of Tyrod Taylor is number one for me to make sure that he can make that next progression. But I also think the big key for this whole camp is how the defense actually gains the momentum this year. Can they turn around what they didn't do last year?
You know, you guys are like in over your heads. I mean, you're there all the time, and you know, you're broadcasting on location all the time. What strikes you as important?
What surprised me is how out of nowhere how young this defense got in certain positions, right? Like I think we forget there's a lot of guys who you never heard of but can play that have only been in the league a couple of years. Adolphus Washington, 3rd round pick. Reggie Ragland, 2nd round pick. Shaq Lawson eventually when he shows up, 1st round pick. You've got your key pieces. You've got young guys that can be something, which gets me very excited about the defense.
Yeah, I think because we're in the 2nd year of Rex and a lot of these things, I think to a lot of people from the outside who haven't been paying attention, they're like, you know, what's going on with that team? Because last year was the big year of change for this team. I think the stability part, having known who the quarterback is, having Rex back trying to put this defense together for a 2nd year, having many of the key players like LaShawn McCoy and Sammy Watkins when everybody is fully healthy, is going to be a good thing. I think that's why when people looked at the Bills, they looked at them a little differently a year ago because there was so much change. But I do think they have a lot of pieces in place. But to your point about that defense, and to Chuck saying it too, I think that's the key thing. I think Tyrod's going to be okay. I think that defense is what's going to make this team.
Is it weird that I'm feeling more comfortable about the defense now than I was last season?
Well, only say it would be odd in the fact that we knew they were really good the year before, and then you think Rex is going to come in. I like the fact that Rex has pretty much admitted the mistakes he made last year, not taking into account a lot of the things that they did well. But we can't forget about that they did have a lot of talent on that defense. He made some mistakes, but I've talked to enough of the players to feel like it's a bit of a collaboration between the two. Players realizing they got to be in the book more, they got to be in the playbook more to know it, but Rex also realizing I got to play to the strength of the guys I have on this team.
Is Reggie Bush going to help?
No.
At all?
Oh, I think he can help them. And here's why I think he can help them. In the beginning of the year, they have 4 games while Carlos Williams is out. And let's hope for Carlos' sake, gets himself in shape, he's healthy, and he can play. But if Reggie Bush can make a few plays, we're talking about key games, especially that Jets game week 2 and the Patriots week 4. If those 4 games are done and Reggie Bush has contributed in that way, the contract isn't a killer. It's a 1-year deal. It's incentive-laden, and he is a guy who has performed in the NFL. You're not going to give him a ton of carries. He is going to be a backup and a kick return.
If I am a general manager in the NFL and I have to get a guy to spell my running back who's had a ton of miles and might be injury prone this season, and you have an opportunity to sign a 31-year-old who's coming off a knee injury that's so bad he was ready to sue the city of St. Louis, how could you not make that move, Bill? What are you doing? Give me a guy with young guys. Listen, I want one of the young guys. I want Wilder. I want Gillisley. I want those guys to get the focus of the carries.
He's right, but that may happen later in the season.
Well, the signing of Bush could take one of those guys out, or you lose your fullback over it. I think that we're going to regret the piece that we lose when it comes down to injuries later in the season.
Are you really going to lose sleep over losing the fullback?
Yeah, I'm sleeping now.
Chuck, we want to thank you for your contribution so far. Give you a chance to promote the fact that you've got the Chuck Hinkle Agency is involved with a big boxing match that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to allow your big name guy to take your seat.
Yeah, sure. On August 19th at Rhino Stadium, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, heavyweight boxer, he's world ranked, undefeated, is going to be fighting there on Showtime. We're excited about bringing Showtime to Rochester for the first time. It's really the first time a heavyweight boxing match like this has happened in Rochester since 2004. So it's been a while, and Jarrell is just, as you'll find out, is very charismatic. He's a very good boxer, and he's very much an up-and-coming guy who I think you're going to see on the world stage here very soon.
And you know this town, it feels kind of right. I mean, boxing is kind of, I take it back 30 years, it's in our blood a little bit.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of history of boxing in town here, and Steve Nelson, who is his manager, has dealt with championship boxers with Hasim Rahman and Oscar De La Hoya and Bone Crusher Smith. So he's had experience dealing with guys taking it to that level of championship boxing. So he thinks he has the next guy in Big Baby.
Very good. Big Baby is going to take the seat that you will relinquish in the next segment. We'll get a chance to meet the headliner, the big boxing card, coming up in our next segment of the original Rochester Press Box. We're on location at the Genesee Brew House.
That's a long way off. I think I have appreciation for the history of this league. I've been a sports fan all my life, and I've had the pleasure of playing with some incredible guys who are going to wear those jackets one day if they don't already have them on. So it's fun to be. It'll be fun to be there and to see them achieve that.
For over 25 years, Hillside Work Scholarship Connection has empowered youth to embrace their dreams of college and careers. Thanks to a dedicated staff and employment partners, every year Hillside helps more than 4,000 young men and women move closer to their life goals. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box, on location at the Genesee Brew House. This portion brought to you by the Hillside family of agencies. It's our pleasure now to welcome in Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who is fighting here later this month at Rhino Stadium, big outdoor event, which is always a lot of fun. Except for all boxers have got a nickname. Where'd the Big Baby thing come from?
Well, my first manager at the time, we had a bet going on that, Big Baby would stick a little better, and after knocking out my opponent in the first round, all the girls went crazy. Big Baby, so I kind of kept it,
Very good.
I think for a lot of people, they're going to get to see you. If they maybe watched you before on television, now they're going to get to see you fight here. I think people want to know what kind of fighter you are because, heavyweight boxing used to be king. I think it can make a comeback, but people have to connect with a fighter. So if they're going to see you out there on the 19th, what kind of fighter are they going to see?
If they haven't seen me before, man, I'm like a little bit of Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Ali in one, man. I'm an exciting fighter. I'm a fighter, power puncher, but I can box as well. I can dance on my feet when it comes to those kind of fights. But I'm an exciting all-around guy, and I bring the pain, man. I try to put guys in the hospital every time.
Heavyweight fighter with two national titles, the North American titles. Yeah. The guy you're boxing, Big Fred Cassie. Big Fred.
He ain't big enough. He's 5'11", 230. I'm 6'4", 275. So he's big, but he ain't bigger than Big Baby. So it's gonna go down.
Let me put these guys aside. Listen, I boxed, amateur record, 3-6, no big deal. So let the fighters talk a little bit. But even at the low end here, you had classic boxing clubs like Montgomery, right? Aquinas has a boxing team. Talk about the history of boxing in this town. Where it came from, watching where you're growing up, watching this happen.
I grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. So I had the same trainer that helped Riddick Bowe, Mark Breland. Mike used to come through once in a while too. So my origin of boxing is the gutter. It's a straight street. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. So those make the best fighters, and you can see where it's brought me so far. Where it's like, the best of the best come from the dirties.
I know you've been in mixed martial arts before also, but I'm sitting here next to you thinking, we're at Bill's camp all the time. You look like you could have played in the NFL also. Yeah. What other sports did you play?
I played 5 years. I played football for about 5 years. I played high school. I played college league in Canada for about a year or so like that. It was just kickboxing made sense at the time. It was one of those things where I was like, what? Team sport wasn't my thing. You work so hard, we still lose. No championship, no belt. I'm like, nah. I'm kind of selfish. I'm like, forget that. I put in the work, I get the reward. Simple.
Mike brought up MMA. We're accustomed to thinking that boxing is a dying sport, MMA is the next big thing. And you went in the other direction because you were an MMA fighter and a successful one first. Why didn't you stick with it?
MMA the media is doing really well. Their PR people is awesome, but I think MMA will make you a broke famous person. You know, you'll see your face everywhere, but you ain't got no money in your pocket. And I mean, I know a lot of guys in the UFC that are doing all right, but I know I definitely get more output from my input in the sport of boxing. You know, and I just felt like boxing is where I need to go. You know what I mean, to make the biggest impact for my community.
Are there reasons to believe that? That boxing has got to come back in it.
I mean, boxing never went nowhere. It just left America, really. It's flourishing in Germany, Europe. I mean, those countries don't really care for MMA. You know, Japan, they have like they're mixed, but they love boxing. China love boxing. So the sport kind of died out in America a little bit because there was no heavyweights. But the top highest paid athlete in the world is an American boxer, which is Floyd Mayweather. I mean, he was the highest paid athlete for like 3-4 years in a row. So boxing's not dead. It's that the media's not gravitating to it, like, you know, when there's a heavyweight involved. You know, and I'd be like, I know I'm that guy.
Yeah, very good. Our special guest is Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who is fighting at Rhino Stadium on the 19th of August. This is the Original Rochester Press Box. This portion brought to you by the Hillside family of agencies. We'll be back. As we go to break, it is time for the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Is called Turnbull at 343-2005. As we come back from the break, time for the answer to the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Just call 343-2005. See New York in a whole new way. Amtrak is offering a 15% discount for all travel inside New York State and to Montreal. Visit Amtrak.com for the See New York discount. Safe, comfortable, affordable, and easy. Amtrak. Enjoy the journey. Welcome back. This is the Original Rochester Press Box. This portion brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Like it or not, Duffy, we got a fan being ejected by an umpire at a ball game in Philly last night.
I hate it. So what do you think those seats cost where he got thrown from? What do you think those cost? What, $1,000, $2,500 to sit in that seat, right? And you know, well in Philly, you're 3 rows from the field. All right, let's say they're even $500 seats, okay? Baseball's having a hard time putting behinds in the seats on weeknights. So what's a really good way to get people to come down? Why don't we throw the guy out for saying, he said, you suck. That was the quote that got him thrown out of the game. Some of these umpires bother me. Their egos get too big. I mean, you guys know a couple. When your name ends up on a food product that sells at Wegmans instead of just calling balls and strikes, maybe you've gone a little too far. Take the criticism, call the game. You're not the star here.
I'm surprised.
Well, I will agree with you to this extent that sometimes the umpires act that way. But if you notice, the moment he ejected that fan, and I don't think he got ejected from the stadium, I think they sent him elsewhere, the fans in that area all started applauding because I think he was bothering everybody around there.
Well, because he's in the high-end section. Like, if you're a real fan and you've sat in those low-end sections, you see the guys with the sweaters tied around their necks, right? And their kids with the baseball cap with the brand new sticker on it because, ooh, look at these fancy seats I get to sit into. There should be no crime for being a real fan in expensive seats.
Jarrell, you've been heckled. What's the level of acceptance?
I mean, disrespectful is always going to be in the sports arena, no matter where it's at. I just feel like there's a certain level as well too. But as a professional athlete, you got to just block it out and do your job as well.
But really, when the fan is heckling you,
yeah, of course, they always do that kind of stuff, man. But of course, you get out the ring, they kind of shut up. You know? there might be a second version to this ring card, you know. So I feel like all fans are going to do crazy stuff sometimes. But as an athlete, you got to just let it go. But you said that the umpire, he's the guy that's like, let's get him out.
Yeah, and to be fair, there was like 5 innings worth of total, like consistently used.
Oh my God!
So
really?
Like,
wow! Come host a morning radio show sometime and tell me how much You Suck hurts you.
Yeah, and like you said with the fans, that the fans were glad. I'm surprised the ushers didn't do anything about it.
and that's what happens sometimes. And his language may have been more than that. And you have kids, you bring kids to the game. After a little while, sometimes you're like, you put up with a little bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes guys are just relentless, and you're like, go sit where Duffy's sitting, way in the
Yeah, with all the cool people. Well, you're not allowed.
Mike, quickly, like it or not, what the New York Yankees were able to do before the trade
I
deadline.
love it for the Yankees. I think they finally got smart. I think that team was going nowhere this year. You try with some prospects, you try to get some guys, and you move on from that. You feel badly for some of the players, but I like what Joe Girardi said. If we would have played better, if we would have done more, they wouldn't have had to do this. Smart move for once by the Yankees.
Since you're too busy to know any of the players that played for that team, why the Yankee hat?
I mean, I grew up as a Mets fan, but the Mets just really sucked when I was a kid. So, I crossed over the border. But I mean, like I said before, the Yankees didn't do jack the last 2 seasons, so I'm glad they're making some moves and big power moves and hopefully get some dramatic changes,
Alrighty, this portion of the original Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Unfinished Business is next. The Rochester Press Box Stat of the Week, brought to you by Cariglio's Pizza, with 5 locations serving the Rochester area. Visit carigliospizza.com today. Uplift your mood with handcrafted layers of espresso and steamed milk. Keep on saving at Dunkin' with a $1.99 medium hot or iced latte or macchiato after 12 p.m. America runs on Dunkin'. Our Rochester Press Box Genesee Brewhouse Fan of the Week is Ray Potter from Churchville. He received a $25 gift card and a Press Box t-shirt from Brewhouse server Jessica Hack. Congratulations, Ray. Thanks for watching the Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box. This portion brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. It's called Unfinished Business, and Pat always starts us off.
We've been at Bill's training camp with WCMF and ESPN 97.5, talking to all the players. And I've talked to Marcel Darius, talked to Jerry Hughes, talked to Kyle Williams. And Mario Williams, who is no longer a Bill, keeps coming up over and over again. And despite what happened with Mario last season, Marcel, Jerry, and Kyle Williams all had really nice things to say about him. They were all really good friends with him. And I think it's become very apparent to anyone that's been around these guys that they knew that Mario Williams was not good for that team last year. But they all may have been too good friends with him to say anything. Now that Mario's gone, it's addition by subtraction. And these 3 guys, who are proven leaders, veterans on this Bills team, are not going to have the ability to lead without stepping on the toes of a close teammate and a good friend of theirs. I get the feeling last year if Mario wasn't buddies with Marcel and Kyle and Jerry Hughes, things would have gone very differently. But because you've known that guy for a long time and he's a close teammate, they didn't have the opportunity to say, stop it, sit down, this isn't your place to do this.
Goes back to what you were saying about it feels funny to feel good about the defense the next year.
I mean, yeah, I'm telling you, like that, after talking to these 3 guys, and I don't know if you feel the same way, it becomes very apparent to me, like, I don't want to hurt this guy. He's a little sensitive. Everybody knows that. We're just going to let whatever happens happen.
It is interesting. It seemed like some offensive guys were maybe more offended because they see the tape too, maybe not as close with him, and there was a lot of talk in that locker room. But he's right. It didn't come from those guys on the D-line.
Do I call you Jarrell or Big Baby?
Big Baby.
Big Baby, it's your turn.
It's your boy Big Baby coming August 19 at the Rhino Stadium. It's going down. Dead Fred is going against Big Baby, the future heavyweight champion of the world. So tune in, main event on Showtime Showbox. It's going down.
Dead Fred, not Big Fred.
Dead Fred.
All righty, we're looking forward to that. Once again, that's August the 19th.
Correct.
Outdoors at Rhino Stadium. That should be a blast.
It'll be a blast, man. We're
Cool.
bring the heavyweight division back.
Mike.
I'm going to go back to Bill's camp. And the other day, I'm standing there on the sidelines and I'm watching practice. And I look to my right, and there's Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer. And I look to my left, there's Thurman Thomas, Hall of Famer. But I looked out on the field, and I saw the one player who will be in the Hall of Fame and who I believe is the greatest to ever play his position, and that's Ed Reed. He's now a coach with the Bills. He's helping out in the secondary. And you talk to the players in that secondary, and just a smile comes on their face. And you watch Ed Reed and the way he interacts with the players. This guy has knowledge, this guy has ability, and he's learning how to teach it to those guys. Some of the things that guy did were unreal in the NFL, and I saw a little glimpse of it just during a practice, just during the play. Ball goes up in the air. It's tipped in the air. Out of nowhere, Ed Reed just reaches up one hand and intercepts it. As a coach, the ball always seemed to find him. If he can impart that to the guys playing safety for the Bills now and anybody else in that defense, I think they'll be better players. A long time ago, the Bills had a chance to draft Ed Reed. A lot of teams did. He didn't go till late in the first round. Bills took Mike Williams with the 4th overall pick that year, offensive lineman. But a lot of people passed on Ed Reed. I'm glad that Rex Ryan brought him in to coach because he's the greatest of all time as far as safety is concerned.
It is nice to have a guy like that around, isn't it?
He's a cool dude. He's got his hat going on out there. You got to look for him if you come to camp.
His hat going on.
You know the hat I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's going on.
It is.
It's going on. It's on. It is going. It's going on.
Big Baby, thanks for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. We're looking forward to your fight.
Thanks.
Mike?
Thank you.
Hey, you're great. Great to be going on.
Good job. Bring in the hat next time. I want to see this. And thank you for joining us. This is the original Rochester Press Box. This portion brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. See you again next week.